All right. I want to do a monologue and I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to call this the limits of American power. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to call this. I do have a point, though, that I'm trying to make in this. Donald Trump is a shit spewing machine. Full stop. Period. Nothing else to add to that. The things that he says are so outlandish in the context of reality. And he seems to not quite grasp the reality of things, or if he does grasp the reality of things, is still stuck in this mindset of, I'm an American president, I'm a hegemon, and I need to behave as such, and I need to make everybody else believe it, even though Trump has no power in real terms in this process. Jamal, what are you talking about? So Donald Trump recently came out and apparently, and said this right here, claiming that there is a lot of bullshit coming out of Putin. Now, I'm going to play the clip first, and then I want to delve into this. Because what you're seeing here is a president with no power, a weak man that has no power to change the situation to which he is talking about. And his frustration is boiling over with him dropping expletives about President Putin.
That was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
It is true that Putin is always a diplomat when he's having these conversations. So Donald Trump acknowledges that. That's true. Bullshit, no. Putin and his entirety of his government has been consistent in a way that Donald Trump is never consistent. They call him Taco Trump for a reason, because they know that Donald Trump is all over the place. Just within the course of a week, Trump said, I'm going to stop weapons and then I'm going to resume weapons. When he had the conversation with Putin, and Putin effectively told him, do whatever you need to do. We are pursuing our objectives. Russia was very specific from the very beginning of the special military operation regarding what they wanted. And even Putin, when he was like, okay, you want a ceasefire, these are the things you need to do for us to consider a ceasefire. And the United States didn't want to do those things because what they wanted to do was freeze the conflict along the lines and continue to give Ukraine weapons, which nobody in their right mind would do. Losers don't get to dictate terms. And the US president, who doesn't want to look like a loser that he actually is in this situation, doesn't want to acknowledge his loss. And so what he has decided to do is, I'm going to send patriots to Ukraine. Okay, fair enough. Russia is producing 500 drones a day. Russia has been sending 500 drones a day to hit pretty much any and everything in Ukraine that stands, which means that they can do that every day. Do you have enough patriots, which didn't work all that well in Israel, to combat that amount of air power that is coming your way? And I would like to add to that this article within the context of that question. The U.S. is only 25% of all Patriot interceptors needed for Pentagon's military plans. The reason that they stopped sending missile systems, oh, you can't see that, this. The reason that they stopped sending missile systems to Ukraine is because they didn't have them to send. The Biden administration had been sending missile systems to Ukraine for 3 years? They've been dumping one after the next, sending them all sorts of weapons, all sorts of missiles, all sorts of air defense, and has been sending those things for such a long time that now you've gotten to the point of you have multiple wars. You have to deal with Israel, who apparently used 20 years worth of systems within 12 days. And you have to deal with the issue of Ukraine, where Russia has been sending 500 drones, not to mention chemical missiles, a day. Where are your cards? Right. Where are your cards in this? How do you manage a situation like this? A, you don't have the weapons to send. B, you don't have the air defense to send. C, Ukraine is getting rolled. And no, that doesn't necessarily mean Ukraine is on the brink of collapse, but it does mean that their capability and ability to withstand this barrage, I'm skeptical of it. Add to that this. So Slavian Grad pointed out when they were having this conversation about, well, and just so you can see what Ukraine has been going through, look at these strikes. There is no defense for these, by the way. These are Kim's own missiles, 7 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And if you can look at the little explosions that are taking place, that's them coming through the atmosphere and hitting their targets, going 10 to 15,000 miles an hour. That's astonishing and terrifying. There's no defense against that. Here's some of the other images that are coming out. Some of these were recruitment centers, by the way. And in some of these cases, you got Ukrainians themselves contacting the Russians to tell them where the recruitment centers are so the recruitment centers can be blown up. This has been happening all over Ukraine. Here is, I guess that's a missile in the sky. Here's another one. There's a button in Moscow, and 20 minutes later, something blows up. Defenseless. And Trump sending 10 patriots. What is the point of that? My point is very basic, very simple. You have no cards. And the idea that you're saying that Putin is spewing bullshit, that's pretty astonishing. This came out from CNN at apparently a press event that Donald Trump was doing. Listen to what Donald Trump says that he told Putin and Xi Jinping, and you tell me he was spewing bullshit.
If you go in to Ukraine, they'll bomb out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice. The public wants it. The public. So he goes like, I don't believe you. He said, no way. And I said, wait. And then he goes like, I don't believe you. But the truth is, he believed me 10%. And I told you this, he believed me 10%. Then I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb at Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing, you're going to bomb Beijing. I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb them. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe either except 10%. And 10% is all you need.
Trump is suffering under an illusion. The illusion that he's suffering under is that these people, A, believe him, B, are scared of him. They're not scared of Trump. What they're scared of is that he is so breathtakingly incompetent that he would drive the world to a nuclear war. That is what they're concerned about. Russia is not Iran. Russia is not Iraq. Beijing is not Iran. Beijing is not Iraq. And I think KJ No is right about the bear fallacy, where you have people who believe that they can fight a grizzly bear. Every war scenario that the U.S. has fought against China, the U.S. has lost. And I would wager to you that Russia has the best military for the fighting that they are effectively doing. And if you feed them Europe, they will eat Europe alive. If you are trying to attack them, and it gets into the sense of an existential war, they always have the doombringer of ending the world. The U.S. and its military, or let's say its political leadership, is grotesquely incompetent. And the idea that Donald Trump is telling another world leader that he's going to bomb a nuclear power nation, such as Russia, or for that matter, China, is breathtaking incompetence. Breathtaking incompetence. Trump is losing the war in Ukraine. It is his war at this point. Joe Biden has been president for 6 months, if not longer. Trump could have always walked. His association with Ukraine at this point, every day of it, is effectively a betrayal of MAGA and a betrayal of the United States, who, as he keeps saying, this war should have never started. Yes, you're right. This war should not have started. And you, as a president of the United States, the major mover and shaker in this, had the capacity to end it by walking away. Trump didn't want to walk away. And so now, with no cards, because we don't have the missile defense systems required, to even assist Ukraine. And even if we did, the idea that they can deal with 500 drones a day is off the table. It is not Putin that is spewing bullshit. It is a confidence man that is trying to make a loss seem like it's something else. The media in this also plays a role in this because Mark is right. I was there at the Biden-Putin summit where the media is attacking Joe Biden for being too weak on Russia. And they seem to have this American exceptionalist point of view that Trump tries to feed. He tries to keep going. Hey, Mr. President, what are you going to do in Ukraine? Hey, Mr. President, are you going to send weapons? Hey, Mr. President, are you going to do this? When the reality of it is, he has no power in this process. Donald Trump could pass sanctions, which is what they're threatening to do, 500% tariffs on countries that are working with Russia. I say do it. Good luck with that. Let's see whether China, India, Saudi Arabia, and all of these other countries effectively fall in line. I'm very curious on whether they would do so. You're going to pass 50% sanctions on Brazil because Lula is going after Bolsonaro. Okay, that's deranged. Period. Deranged. But okay, do it. I want to see it. Show me. If you want to have a tariff war where you're going after Malaysia, Vietnam, and all of these other places, from my point of view, do it. I want to see it. Meaning, these things, from my point of view, are accelerants. Accelerants in a way that undercut the power of the U.S. And the fact that the U.S. has to effectively do something like this is not a position of strength. It is a position of weakness. It is a position of weakness. If you don't have soft power to influence, and you have to go to this level of vulgarity, this level of brutality, then something is missing. A president also that resorts to cursing is indicative of rot. My channel is named Jamal Thomas. If I drop an F-bomb on my channel is just me. There is no separation between me and my channel. If you see me in the street, I am the same person here that you will probably see in the street. That is just who I am. I don't even know how to wear a mask when I do this channel. This is just me. If I'm pissed off, I'm actually pissed off. If I'm laughing at something, I'm actually laughing at something. But that is just me. I'm not representing anybody but myself in this. People either agree with me or disagree with me. The president and the role of the president is different. He is supposed to be the embodiment of a country. And when you get him on video,
and I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin for you want to know the truth.
Do we really want our president cursing? Is that the highest of ideals? And you may say that I'm picking, but I'm not. That's abnormal. It's one thing for a president to curse in private. Okay, fair enough. LBJ used to drop F-bombs like nobody's business. But the presentation of it for a president to be freely cursing on air is pretty astonishing. And my argument, and the thing that I think I'm pointing out is this is indicative of rot. This is not something that is a norm. This is something that is breaking a norm, even though at some point I suppose this is becoming a norm. But this is indicative of a degradation of the American political system at the head being Trump. The president is losing a war. He has failed at everything that he has put his hands on, whether it was the Epstein files, which is just the latest betrayal, whether it was getting out of Ukraine, which is a betrayal, sending weapons to Ukraine, which is a betrayal considering he derided Joe Biden for doing so for the last, X number of years before he was able to get into office, whether it was attacking Ansar Allah and getting beat in that war. Yes, you're able to murder a lot of people, but as I keep pointing out, murdering a lot of people is a means to an end. It is not the point of the war. The point of any war is the objective that you're trying to set in that conflict, meaning I am trying to get the king. Okay, but what does it mean in real terms of trying to get the king? It depends on what your objective is. If my objective is I need to stop from firing stuff into the Red Sea, then that is my objective. Do I accomplish it, yay or nay? In Trump's case, the answer was nay. Even the New York Times points out that he was not able to gain air superiority over supposedly people in sandals. He wasn't able to do it. That's a failure. Even attacking Iran, giving the green light for Israel to attack Iran, and then to have to throw his body on his proxy because his proxy was getting taken apart. I'm saying all of these things were failures. Donald Trump has no successes as president of the United States. The big grotesque betrayal of a bill that he passed that is going to explode the deficit. And Trump's response to it is just to lie and say, there is no spoon. He has failed as a president, through and through, failed. The tariff war, failure. He got bodied by China and had to back down when the bond market started to assert itself and he realized the full faith and credit of the United States was effectively crumbling. When the US dollar has slid, 12% at this point. All of these things are failures. None of these things are successes. And he can walk around and acting like there's lipstick on this pig, but it's still just a pig. Still just a pig. I want to go to my guest.